Welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Hockey Hacks podcast, the Tuesday night edition. I'm Devin Davidson, your host. With me, as always, Bruce Gunther.
Hello.
And back from the depths of British Columbia, Tyler Holman.
What's going on? I wasn't ready.
No, clearly not, but that's okay. This is going to be the most unprepared I think we've ever been in the history of this show. Episode 130, so that's saying something if this is the most unprepared we've been. I'm going to mark that up, Bruce, to Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, definitely. Most definitely.
I don't know about you, Bruce, and Tyler, we know your story. Every Thanksgiving is tough because the regular season is right after the Thanksgiving long weekend, and I don't do a lick of preparation over the weekend because I'm with family. We're like stuffing our faces, doing stuff, staying up too late, drinking, whatever.
That makes two of us.
Yeah, and but anyway, this should be a fun episode. So we're back. We got hockey finally. 3 games today, and again, our apologies. That's the reason we're delayed in releasing our week 1 preview is that we had some stuff going on, obviously, with Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. We're back. We're at it. I'm going to stop rambling here. Bruce, I'm happy. We're going to start doing John's list again. Fantasy lock of the week. We'll get into edge work. We'll cover the NHL schedule, cover the NHL waiver wire targets for the week, and whatever else we feel like. But I guess for this week, we're not going to do John's list because he's not here, and there's no events to talk about just yet.
Well, I'm sure Tyler could sub in for John's list for this week.
He's probably got some people that could.
Yeah. Probably a few he could put on that list after his weekend.
WestJet.
Yeah.
WestJet on the list. Okay, there you go. John's list. Sans John. WestJet. And then fantasy lock of the week we'll cover as we do on our Sunday night episodes. So we'll get to that later in the week. Guys, this is going to be a real in-depth episode because we haven't really done a lot of prep, but we're going to go through edge work. We wanted to get something out to everybody. Oh, there's a private chat notification here. Is this... No. Tyler, I don't know. I don't know if you have the notes, buddy. Oh, God, this is falling off the rails so quick. This is like classic hack stuff here. Yeah, Tyler, you have the notes. You should have the notes. Okay.
I was trying to keep that like... behind the scenes,
sorry, buddy. No, I can't multitask. So when I'm mumbling like that, people know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this is episode number 3, not 130. All right. NHL schedule for week 1. So this is, as we always like to say, the segment where we put in the work to give you the edge in your fantasy hockey leagues. Each week, the hacks will cover the NHL schedule and waiver wire targets and try to guide you to victory. If we can remove head from sphincter long enough. The 2023-2024 season is finally here, guys. We're excited about it. There are a total of 34 games on the schedule this week, with 5 of them taking place on light days. That's 50% or fewer NHL teams in action during week 1. And as is typical, we're a little bit late. 3 games tonight, obviously being Tuesday night here. In terms of attempting to optimize the schedule for games played, there are a total of 8 teams. Carolina, Chicago, Nashville, Ottawa, Pittsburgh, Seattle, Tampa, and Vegas this week that do provide an advantage with 3 games, 2 of which take place on light days. Of those 8 teams, Pittsburgh, Vegas are of particular interest when looking at the quality of competition and the goals against per game of their opponents. Alternatively, there are 4 teams. I say that, Bruce, right? And then, of course, Pittsburgh loses to Chicago 4-2. But
Exactly.
I knew exactly why you're laughing. Yeah. Alternatively, there are 4 teams this week that play just 1 game: Arizona, Dallas, New York, and Washington, and likely best to avoid. So Monday, Thanksgiving Monday, had no games. Tuesday, 3 games. Wednesday, 6. Thursday, 7. Friday, 2. Saturday, the big game, the big day as it is most weeks, 14 games. And then Sunday, 2 games. And then quickly, just teams with 3 games this week. So Chicago, Carolina, Nashville, Ottawa, Pittsburgh, Seattle, Tampa, Vegas. Teams with 2 games. Columbus, the Rangers, the Ducks, the Oilers, the Flames, the Sabres, Devils, Habs, Jets, Flyers, Kings, Avalanche, Florida, Toronto, Vancouver, Detroit, San Jose, St. Louis, Minnesota, Boston. And then teams with 1 game, like I said, Arizona, Dallas, Washington, and the Islanders. So there you go. There you have it. That is the weekly update for the schedule. And guys, I forgot to mention, I finally got to draft Connor McDavid in our ESPN league.
I knew it was coming out at some point. I knew it was coming.
I honestly, I don't even care what happens this year. I got to draft Connor, and I hope they do something. And then I was able to pair him with Evan Bouchard, which I reached way too early for Tyler, but I don't even care.
It's disgusting. It was disgusting. I wouldn't do that.
I went full Tyler. I think I grabbed Evan Bouchard in like the 5th round or something. Maybe it was the 4th. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I looked at your team after and it's like, geez, it looks like Tyler drafted for you. It's like it's all the players that Tyler would draft. It's like, holy crap.
You know what? I'm pretty happy with the roster, but there's definitely some players on that team that Tyler would have drafted if given the opportunity.
That's why I had to take Jack Campbell where I took him.
Where did you grab Campbell?
I think it was 11th or something.
It was early, really early.
Earlier than I wanted or really want to talk about, but
felt comfortable doing. But I mean, the way he's played in preseason through 3 games.
Yeah. I think I took him right before I took Vasilevsky.
Okay.
So, which could end up being good.
It could. Yeah,
definitely.
Tampa didn't look too bad tonight against Nashville.
No, Kucherov and Point. I have him in both my leagues.
Well, you got Kucherov pretty late too, didn't you? Like for where he's normally drafted.
Yeah, in the Yahoo one I did. I think that was 3rd round.
Yeah, like it felt like really good value when you grabbed him because I was going to grab him if you hadn't. So
yeah.
And then Bruce, you got to draft Draisaitl, so that's okay.
I did. I'm quite happy. Very happy, actually. I got a little forward happy in draft last night, last night. A little forward happy. So,
yeah, I don't know what it is, Tyler. In that ESPN league, it seemed like everybody just grabbed as many defensemen as they could. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I made a point of grabbing quite a few of them because guys started reaching really quick. The other thing was that ESPN had the weirdest rankings.
They do.
It took a lot of work to actually find the players.
Yeah.
So depending on who you have in your league and how much they know, the more you're kind of searching through and scrolling as opposed to guys that just swipe quick and pick somebody. I did, though. I screwed up and I took Merzlikins. That was an accident. I was scrolling and I clicked the mouse and it ended up on him.
No.
So,
really? I thought you did that on purpose because I was actually, when you picked him, that was actually who I was going to pick next.
No, I wasn't.
And you
ready.
took him and said, "Oh, I got to go to my next goalie down." Then so
I wasn't ready for him. I wasn't ready for him at that point. But hopefully, maybe it'll turn out all right. But in our league too, goalies do matter. So if they start getting snatched up, you got to pick somebody. So
and I maybe a bit of a bold take, but I went Ottinger and Shesterkin.
like right away.
Right. Well, I went McDavid and then grabbed 2 goalies.
What's his name about that?
I went Fulgi. in that league, but
I egged him on big time with that one too.
But five points.
Go take 2 goalies. Go for it. Do it. I dare you to do it.
And I saw your message afterwards. So I went, oh, he just knows. He knows my draft strategy. That's fine.
I thought I did okay though because I got somebody snagged Quinn Hughes. I was gonna take him early because he was ranked like 115 or something in ESPN, and I was still able to end up with a pretty good 5D, I think. So it was just based on the rankings.
Yeah, I'll agree. ESPN is just very, very odd the way that their players are ranked. Like guys like Tage Thompson and Jack Hughes, like Kirill Kaprizov, those 3 players, there's 4 or 5 of them kind of in the same tier. And they were way down the rankings for whatever reason. It was really strange. And I wondered how many of those guys are going to get missed. Like, I think Nathan McKinnon went 8th in our draft.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that happened, but
yeah.
Like, if you go based off of our projections, I could have a 300-point players on my team.
Yeah.
This year.
I screwed up and I took Pettersson 4th. But it's hard when it starts going down and you hit that 10 seconds and everything turns red and it makes a beep.
Yep.
I just freak out.
You panic, right?
Out.
Yep.
I freak out every time and I just clicked them.
Yep.
I didn't even want him. Not there. Not at 4.
But you're like, I gotta take somebody.
He could still put up 100 points, so it still won't be bad.
I think like in a contract year, I think he's probably going to put up 100 to 110 points. That's what I think he's going to do. But I think McKinnon's probably going to have a good year. I think Matthews is going to have more fantasy points based on the fact that he's going to score more goals than Pettersson. But
he hits more than Pettersson too.
Yeah,
blocks.
I was hoping, like, if you take him 4th, if you can have Hughes as well, especially at 115 in ESPN, that would have been a good stack to have, but somebody sniped him right before I was going to take him.
Well, there were so many good. Everyone was taking defensemen, so there's so many good forwards left. I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to push, and then I don't think I took a defenseman until like the 12th round. But I filled all my forward things in one bench. I think before I got to goalies or defense, it was. I just couldn't because I went through my thing after. All of my forwards are probably going to be good for 70 points plus, every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone's picking defensemen, so I had to go really into the weeds to get defensemen. But
I'm hoping that I have, like in that league, I'm hoping that I have a higher number of scoring defensemen than most of the other guys, and that'll hopefully be the difference.
Oh, 2 of my defensemen I'm taking pretty big risks on, so based on last year's play anyway.
Which one specifically, Bruce?
Well, Addison, right? So when Wild traded for Klingberg, Addison basically sat in the press box for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So Addison's one, and the other one's Cam York. I think we'll talk about him a little later in the waiver wire, but he just picked him because it's opportunity. He's going to get all the opportunity this year, and I needed a defenseman, so why not?
Yeah, I think you sniped both those players for me late in the draft because I was with you, Bruce. I was looking at it and going, well, I should grab a 4th or a 5th defenseman here, but then looking at all the forwards that were still available, it was like Claude Giroux. Claude Giroux, I think you grabbed him, didn't you?
Yeah, like I got Giroux, like I got I think I took Evander Kane, and I was trying to wait. Someone's going to pick him up, even though like he was ranked like 263rd, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like way down there was like, someone's going to find him. So I was like, how long can I wait? And I had a couple of draft kits open on my other screen. So it's kind of like, where does he fit in the rounds? It's like, okay, I can take him here. And then like a couple of rounds later, I got Giroux, and it's like, but you really had to go into the weeds. I think I had I had roughly 60 players queued up that were below 200, like from 200 to, well, they ranked all the way up to, I stopped at 824. So I queued up 60 some players between that for the later rounds, just for defensemen, forwards, goaltending. And that's so.
You went full 0G, Bruce.
Yeah, damn close again this year. Yeah.
Yuck.
Yeah, it worked well. It worked well for me last year. So.
Oh, I know, but Kemper and Grubauer. But I mean,
actually, in the couple of draft kits I looked at, they actually numbered out not too bad. So, but Grubauer played shitty in the preseason, so we'll see. But like I said, they were way late picks. So if I got to go to somebody else, it isn't really. I didn't take them 2nd or 3rd overall, so dropping them will not be a problem. So
no, you got a pretty good group of forwards, though. I think you'll be all right.
I hope so.
Well, and Grubauer too in our format, like you're going to get 5 points for a win. Seattle should win their fair share of games. So even if his peripherals suck, I mean, it doesn't really matter beyond the goals against, right, Tyler? We get -1 for a goal against, but it could be worse, Bruce. Could be worse.
That's going to be a fun season.
Yeah. So let's talk about some waiver wire targets here, guys, for week 1. And for the purposes of the show, we look at waiver wire targets, players. We focus on players with ownership that is about 50% or less when considering players to target. We also review recent performance, player deployment, upcoming schedule, all that kind of stuff. And percentage rostered actually is for both Yahoo is kind of the default, and then I'll include the Fantrax numbers here as well. So the first guy we got is Barrett Hayton, center for the Arizona Coyotes. Still just 13% rostered in Yahoo, which is absurd,
ridiculous.
Actually. Yeah.
It is.
And we've talked about it lots over the summer, just the discrepancy between Yahoo and Fantrax. And so Fantrax, he's actually 60% rostered, which makes a lot more sense. He should be in that range or higher.
Should be.
you consider he's centering Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz. And Nick Schmaltz, we talked about this over the summer too, basically has played at a point per game over the last calendar year. So someone you'll want to keep an eye on as well. But Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, and he's getting power play one time, coming off a 19-goal, 43-point season. I think he played 60 or 65-point pace, Bruce, over 82 games. Like he was...
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, played well. So, yeah, that's a guy. The only concern, I guess, he is one of our sleeper picks or our breakout picks for this year, but there is always that concern about Logan Cooley, right? And so Logan Cooley played really well in the preseason. I think he had 2 points in 2 games, scored that beauty of a goal in the Global Series. But beyond that, I think, Hayton only played 1 preseason game from what I saw. And he had the same amount of power play time as Keller and Schmaltz. So I don't have any concerns that way. I think it's his to lose. What do you think, Bruce?
I think so. And I think they'll keep Cooley on the second line because if he does do well, he's going to get better matchups on the second line than he is on the first line. And they like these guys from last season. So I think they're going to keep them together. Yeah,
I would agree with that. And if Logan Cooley performs well, then they've got more depth too, right? They can spread out that offense a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. Because they're hoping to be not a bottom feeder this year. They're hoping to make a push for the playoffs. So
yeah, I'm really excited. Like it would be nice to see them not be a bottom feeder again for once, just to see they've got a lot of good young players there. I'm really intrigued to see what happens with the Coyotes this year. All right, the next guy we got here is Thomas Hertl, and normally not a guy we would talk about because his percentage of roster percentage would not be where it is, but the San Jose Sharks are just so damn awful, Tyler.
God.
So he's 48% rostered right now in Yahoo, 75% in Fantrax. So that probably makes more sense in my mind, 75%, given that he's going to play on the top line between Philip Zadina and Mike Hoffman, and on power play 1. Was it last year? 22 goals, 63-point season. I mean, in Yahoo, Tyler, is that a guy you might reach for? Because I noticed he's in one league that we play in for sure. I think he's sitting there.
Yeah, I was just checking. He's not there. But this isn't usually when I do my lineups, I promise. I was surprised, though, how late he went. He hung around for a long time in the draft. So probably somebody that I kind of overlooked just because of how bad San Jose is. And obviously by this number, a lot of other people are too.
Yeah. And who's running that power play? I don't even know.
Him and somebody.
Couture and it's just
Eklund,
a wreck
maybe?
There, right? Eklund, yeah. Like they've got some pieces, but
Couture is hurt.
I know that they were running a 5-man, like a 5-forward power play for PP1 because they have no defenseman to do that. Matt Benning is probably their best option for a defenseman on the power play.
It's pretty sad.
Their power play 1 is Barabanov, Hertl, Hoffman, Duclair, and Granlund. And then power play 2 is Zadina, Kunin, Eklund, Thurin, and Bordaleo.
It's bad. Yeah, it's not good.
It's bad.
It's just bad.
It's a whole lot of bad.
That's fine. But still, I mean, I do like Thomas Hertl just as a standalone fantasy piece. It's a rough schedule this week with Vegas and Colorado.
Ouch.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe you want to bench him even for this week, but I'm just thinking long term, that's a player that probably should get you 60-plus points. And if he's just sitting there,
you think so?
How many 20, 25-plus goal guys are just sitting on the wire, right? So early in the season, give him a look. Excuse me. And in that same thought process, we've got Bryan Rust, right wing for the Pittsburgh Penguins, coming off a 20-goal, 46-point season. Obviously, it was a down year for him. We talked about that lots in the offseason, Bruce, and the fact that we saw him as a bounce-back candidate. He's still getting top-line deployment next to Sidney Crosby and Jake Gensel, and he's getting time on power play 2. 3 games this week. He actually had a goal tonight against Chicago,
yes.
So he's right back at it. Then they play Washington and Calgary. Just 33% rostered in Yahoo and 54% in Fantrax. So I'm really surprised to see, even in Fantrax, his percentage so low. Like I just think this is a guy that even if he doesn't get a lot of power play one time, his line mates, they don't really get too much better. So
I think people are a little shy because of some off-season changes that the the Penguins made him because of his performance last year. I think they're being a little. They want to see him produce first before they're going to pick him up. So he may sit on the wire for a little bit. Yeah.
Alrighty, there you go. Next up, Matt Coronado, and this is again one of those, rookie picks that we tend to shy away from. But I think at this point, if you're just looking for some forward depth in your roster, especially on the right side, he's right wing eligible. 33% rostered in Yahoo, 54% in Fantrax. 2 games on the schedule this week: Winnipeg and Pittsburgh, and he's playing in the top 6 next to Nazem Kadri and Yegor Sharangovich, as well as on Power Play 1. I think he led the preseason in scoring, I think, right? Or he's tied or close to it. A couple points back, actually.
Yeah, it was either leading or tied, I think.
Might have been Bratt. I can't remember. Anyway, he's right there. Like, he had 7 points, 4 goals in 6 games. He looked great. Another freebie just sitting there on the wire. I think he's going to have a good season. Tyler, I know it's a flame, but what do you think?
I actually took Kadri last night. I felt so bad.
Bad
doing it.
Sick almost.
Like, I think I threw up a little bit when I did it. I can't
the category coverage, though. The category coverage, I mean.
I know, but it was pretty. I was in the 15th round, so.
That's good value on Kadri.
Yeah, I hated it, though.
I was shocked how late Markstrom sat there.
He sat there for a long time. I was about to take him.
Yeah.
The other one was Huberdeau.
Yes.
Huberdeau was, I think, taken in the 15th round as well.
Did you take him, Tyler?
No, it was 1 pick before me.
He was cute. I was going to say, I wasn't getting him anyway because you would have taken him. But
yep, it was Big Jim. He took him 1 pick before me. And I'm pretty sure my brother came downstairs and was asking what was going on. I was a little upset because I had him. Like, nobody else in the 15th round has the potential to actually get 100 points because he could.
He could, for sure.
Yeah. He could, for sure.
I don't think he's going to, but he could. And in the 15th round, like that's the league. That's that kind of stuff is it right there. So
yeah, I had him queued. I should have taken him 1 round earlier, but I just
me too.
I avoided like the plague.
Well, you got burned, Bruce. You got burned real bad last year.
Yeah, I get burned last year, so I went with somebody else.
But the Markstrom thing really surprised me, and the only reason I didn't grab him because at that point I took a bit of a swing and went with Devin Levi, just because I think the Sabres are going to be.
Well, they're carrying all 3 of them, right?
Yeah. Well, didn't they? I thought did they waive Comrie?
No, they carried all 3. They're keeping 3.
All right.
That's what I read.
Yeah, I thought Comrie got.
It doesn't matter. 3, I'm thinking Levi is starting.
But that's the thing. I think Levi, it's his, like, he even showed in preseason. He looked great, right?
He sure did.
So I just think, for me, Buffalo is a better team this year than Calgary. And so yes. I took the swing on Levi because I already had 2 established goaltenders. If Devin Levi doesn't work out for me in the 15th round, I'm okay with that.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, Markstrom went in the 15th round.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad someone took him because I didn't want to take him as a 0G option.
I think Markstrom would have been good, Bruce, but
well, in the 15th round, yeah.
In the 15th round, I mean that's pretty good value.
Yeah.
If he wins a game.
Well, and who knows? Who knows if the Oilers permanently broke him or not? I'm not totally clear on that. But
I think he's broken.
We'll find out. The thing is for me too, that dressing room is going to be drastically different this year, with no Daryl there.
That's true. That is very true.
And it was really telling for me. I think I talked to this a couple weeks ago, but when Jake Pelche was throwing shade at Sutter in the preseason, when a rookie comes into camp and throws shade at an NHL head coach, that guy was a bit of a dink. So I think it'll be different this year in Calgary.
I think it will be too. I think it'll be a lot different. So
yeah,
just hopefully not too different.
Not too different. I honestly, I got to say, I'm really nervous about all this Oilers Stanley Cup talk. Like, every pundit analyst out there and Sportsbook is saying the Oilers are the favorites to win. It's just nuts.
I wouldn't worry about it. They're going to say that. They said it last year.
More it didn't work out so well
this year. It didn't work out so well. But 2 years in a row, Stanley Cup winner beats you. I mean,
yeah.
So they got to be right at some point.
Yep. I hope it's this year. I hope it's when I'm finally rostering Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard that they get to win all the games. That'd be great.
I got Draisaitl and Keynes. I was pretty happy.
That's a nice haul too, Bruce. Yep.
I got Jack Campbell.
You did, and he looked good in preseason. We're just gonna hang on to that. I hope he plays. I hope he's this year's Linus Ullmark, just for you, Tyler.
Absolutely.
Me too.
That would be awesome.
Me too.
All right. Next guy up here for forwards, we got Evan Rodriguez. And Bruce, this is actually a guy that you had picked out, but center, left wing, right wing eligible, I think, in Fantrax. And I believe center, left wing eligible in Yahoo. Don't quote me on that. But 8% rostered in Yahoo, 31% rostered in Fantrax. 2 games this week, Minnesota and Winnipeg. Playing on that top line with Alexander Barkov and Carter Verhaeghe, as well as on Power Play 1. This is a player on the right side or tri-eligible player that is getting plum deployment. It really can't get much better than that, hey, Bruce?
No, you sure can't. I saw a post on Twitter or X this morning saying that he had landed on there, and there was quite a few people that were jumping on, adding him for at least the week to see what he can do there. Because, like you said, that's some beautiful deployment, and he's shown in the past when he's got good line mates, he can put up points.
He was a guy that you could stream with a fair amount of confidence when he's in Colorado.
Yes.
And even in Pittsburgh, for that matter.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I'm just making a note here. Making a note to pick him up later, Bruce.
There you go.
All right. That'll do it for forwards here. Let's move on to defensemen. And you're probably not going to love this one, Bruce, but I mentioned Torrey Krug here. 33% rostered in Yahoo and 58% rostered in Fantrax. 2 games on the schedule, Dallas and Seattle. He's playing in the second pairing with Justin Falk and on Power Play 1. I had a lot more time for Falk just given the category coverage, but Krug being healthy and taking over Power Play 1 time again. I think he has some value in points formats anyway, but Bruce, you may not feel the same.
I've been burned by him 2 years. When you look at the numbers he did with Boston, and then when he signed in St. Louis, they expected the same thing out of him, and his production hasn't been anywhere near what it was in Boston. It hasn't even been close. Yeah, he said some injury issues too. That hasn't helped it, but I'm probably thinking like a month, 6, maybe 2 months in, it'll be Justin Falk running Power Play 1 again. He just isn't a good fit there for some reason. And he won't waive his no trade clause to move anywhere, so they're kind of stuck with him.
Well, would you waive to go to Philly?
No.
Tyler, what do you think? I know you've rostered Krug before.
Like as a 5 or 6.
Yeah.
On a roster. Yeah. Absolutely. And obviously at that percentage of being rostered, that's kind of where he'd fit. So I think it'd be a good addition in that spot, because how many fantasy teams, if you're in a 10, 12 or 14 team league, like how many defensemen are there actually going to be that do have the potential to put up even 40 points at that point? So I think he's still a decent option, just not your number 2 or 3 guy like he was a couple of years ago.
No, very true.
Yep, makes sense to me. Sorry, Bruce, go ahead.
I was going to say, when you get into those 12 and 14 team leagues, then you're getting pretty deep into players in defense, especially if you've got 5 or 6 per team. So yeah, he would definitely help out there.
Yeah, the St. Louis power play wasn't great last year, but it should be better given the personnel they have there, right? So
I hope so. They got Robert Thomas in 2 leagues, so something. They were both of them were late, but still.
What is it? Shen, Thomas, Kyrou, Bushnevich, and Krug is Power Play 1.
Shen's another guy, actually. I think he's sitting on the wire in a couple leagues that I play in, and you know, if you're in a banger league, he's going to cover off some hits. He's going to cover off some PIMs, some goals, and probably face-off wins too, right?
Yeah, to me, when I was looking at it, it was between him and Thomas, and I think Thomas has a little bit more upside. So,
in terms of points, yeah, for sure, yeah, like he's a top line guy as opposed to Shen playing the. And I do think though I'm kind of bullish on Shen just for the fact it's his first year as the captain there in St. Louis, and He may just play with a little bit more jam this year, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Who else we got here? So Torrey Krug, Kalen Addison. I mean, Bruce, you'd mentioned him earlier. He's 8% rostered in Yahoo, 60% rostered in Fantrax. Again, crazy differences between the two setups.
Yeah, I would say it's really high for a Fantrax. I would have thought it would be lower.
Yeah, and that's why I'm mentioning both, right? Because Fantrax seem to be a little bit more in tune with what's actually happening, but 8% in Yahoo.
But you never know, too. Spurgeon's out. They have him listed week to week, so he's going to get some opportunity there. He's definitely going to be on the power play, and he will see some additional playing time as well.
Yeah, and I was a bit lukewarm on Addison in the offseason, but I want to say it was Victor Nuno was talking about him and just said, like, in terms of some of his advanced metrics, like he is a skilled defenseman on the power play, and he should do quite well there with a guy like Kirill Kaprizov.
You'd think so, yeah. Kaprizov, Zuccarello,
Boldy. Boldy should be on that top power play unit too.
Boldy probably too.
Yeah. So there's enough talent there to make it work for him. But yeah, it looks like he's playing on a pairing with Alex Goligoski and on the top power play unit, like you said. So Florida and Toronto this week could be a challenge, but if you need some depth.
For sure.
And then Cam York, and this is another guy, Bruce, we've talked about lots in the offseason. 5% rostered in Yahoo, 56% in Fantrax. They've got Columbus and Ottawa this week. He's playing on the top pairing with Travis Sanheim and on power play 1. He had gained the trust of the coach last season. And
that's big. With Tortorella, that's big.
Yeah. Yeah, Tort's one of those guys, once you got his trust, like, he'll give you all the deployment, right? He's going to run York out there lots, so...
And he did not bad in the sample size. It was 20 points in 54 games, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. And they still had guys there last year.
Yeah.
No, there's really nothing there for D this year, so.
Not much, All
right, so there you go. There's 3 defensemen for you. Torrey Krug, Kalen Addison, Cam York, all two of them under 10% rostered. So, Tyler, we're going to move on to goaltenders here and talk about Cam Talbot. I've kind of been saying all summer, I think in LA, it should be Talbot's spot to lose. I think probably a 60% net share for him. I think just that established relationship with Todd McClellan, the fact that in 2016, 2017, he played 73 games, 42 wins. Any interest in Cam Talbot this year? And do you see it playing out that way, or you're kind of a Copley guy?
No, it's going to be Cam Talbot. I think he should be rostered a lot more than that. I think he's going to get the 50 to 60 starts. I just don't think Copley is that good. And if you add on top of it the relationship with Tom McClellan, his familiarity with the system that they play, I think it's just going to be a really good fit. And I may or may not have already added him. But
may or may not have.
may or may not have.
Oh, geez, there you go. Okay, so 51% rostered in Yahoo and 53% in Fantrax. So again, that's really strange that they actually kind of match, and so he should be rostered in more leagues. I would agree with that. Yeah. Okay. Not a great schedule this week. They've got Colorado and Carolina, so that could be tough. But I just think, like you said, Tyler, the system they play and shot suppression, they're a solid team that way. And so even when you're playing a team like Colorado and Carolina, the results may not be as bad as they could be on some other rosters.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get a ton of goals against. You're probably going to get a bunch of saves. And, I mean, that's pretty good to fill in some starts.
Well, yeah, and you still want some shots, right? Some saves. So if they can keep them all to the outside, which LA is pretty good at doing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Jordan Binnington. Bruce, I'm so sorry. I had to add him. He was sitting there. I honestly, looking through the waiver wire, there was not a ton for goaltenders beyond maybe like the Kings tandem. I noticed Binnington sitting there. Antti Ranta sitting there. There's a few options, but most of them are. Logan Thompson, I think, was in another league as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe you go go ahead. Tyler.
What about Vejmelka?
Yep,
I
Vejmelka
think
for
he's
sure.
sitting in a couple leagues that I've seen, and I know a lot of people think Arizona's going to be pretty good. So pretty good in comparison to what they have been.
Yeah.
But still.
No, I like Vejmelka quite a bit, actually. I don't know why I didn't include him here. Might have been his
I'm just trying to
roster
find where
percentage.
he is here. Where is Mr.
It's 4% in ESPN.
He's 60%.
38 in Yahoo.
Okay, and then 60 in Fantrax. So, like Yahoo or ESPN, if he's still sitting there, I think that's a great option.
Yeah.
Fantrax less likely sitting there. I mean, I went with Binnington here just because, I mean, he's 55% in Yahoo and 68 in Fantrax. Are we this desperate already? Yes, Bruce, we are this desperate already. But I think, like you said, the salary, like if you follow the money, they still have to start Binnington. I'm sure they'd love to move that contract, but
unless the season goes absolutely sideways in a hurry, you'll see more of Hofer. But until that time, it's Binnington's net.
Yeah, at least to start that way. So,
yeah.
And then the last guy I mentioned here was John Gibson, 38% in Yahoo, 62% in Fantrax. They got Vegas and Carolina this week.
Yikes.
Yeah, so he's going to be the starter there, probably, unless things go real bad or he gets traded. I'm not sure, but...
well, like I said, the best thing about Gibson is that they play a lot of off-night games. So if you need a goaltender on an off night and you get some points for saves, he would be someone, because he's probably not going to win, but they're going to give up a ton of shots. He's going to be seeing rubber in his nightmares again by Christmas.
Yeah, so 36 games or 44% played on light days. So definitely, if you're trying to optimize starts, Gibson's a good option there. Like you said, lots of pucks on net. Could be worse. And I actually think some of the moves they made this summer make them a little bit better, right? Like Kaloran's a veteran player. Radko Gudas is going to add a little bit of grit to that team. They've got.
I hope they get better, because they were brutal last year.
Well, Drysdale now is back and he's healthy, right? Who was the other kid?
Mrazek might be another one.
Yeah, after tonight.
Watch it.
Yeah,
after tonight.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's kind of a recency thing, but really, I mean, he made a ton of stops.
38 saves tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Until he gets his annual groin injury or two.
Yeah, but I mean, in the meantime.
Yeah. Well, he's healthy. Well, I can still stand.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, look.
Like game 3.
There's not a ton of options on the waiver wire right now for goaltenders. At least what I saw today.
No, like you get sub 50. It's pretty. There's not a lot there anymore.
So I like that one, Tyler. I actually had thought about it today, and I just didn't have time to write in the notes. But I think Mrazek makes some sense because he can get hot at times, and maybe Chicago will surprise us. I doubt it, but
not long term. But for a streamer, like a guy to pick up, once or twice in a week to get some extra points that could end up being the matchup. Like, I mean, it could obviously go the exact opposite way and lose you the whole thing too. So
for sure, but
that's what happens when I pick them up.
20 shots against and 5 goals or something. But I think you're right, Tyler. As a streamer, it's a great option. Even if you don't win the game, if he gets 35 plus saves.
I think especially early in the season, like over the first two weeks, maybe 3 weeks of the season, teams like San Jose, Anaheim, Chicago, teams that are ultimately going to be at the bottom of the league at the end of the year, all the other teams that are going to play them are still kind of figuring out the pace, making passes. Did you see how many people fell down tonight? People are falling down all over the place, and not just Taylor Hall, who if there was a stat for how many times a guy could fall per 60,
he's leading the league.
He would be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, wasn't it Scott Hartnell that actually donated money to charity every time he fell down on the ice when he was with the Predators?
Yeah, it was something like that. They started that thing. But there's not enough structure early in the season. So it's more scrambling, and it fits better to teams that are terrible, as you've seen tonight against Pittsburgh.
Yep.
So they played with them. They were in their own end for the first 2 periods.
Well,
In a giant scramble, and they still ended up winning it, which sucks because that was the last part of the parlay that I needed tonight for to Pittsburgh. But if you can take those goalies that are going to be available and use them in the first few weeks of the season, and then off and on for the rest of the year, I mean, it's going to make a big difference in winning a couple matchups. So
I like it. And even, to your point, Nashville tonight, they went up 2-1 on Tampa in the third period. And, it was like, and then Tampa stormed back eventually, but it's just early in the season. You're right. Things like that can happen for sure.
Well, and I think that's probably going to happen with Tampa for at least 2 months here.
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Okay, well, that kind of does it for waiver wire targets for you guys and for tonight's episode. But I was going to mention a couple more names here. So Gabe Vilardi, you guys have heard me talk enough about that player, but power play 1, top spot, top right wing spots. He looks really good next to Scheifele and Kyle Connor. Arthur Kaliev, heard lots of good things about him. So when he comes back eventually, sounds like he'll get some.
He's got some great knees.
Some great knees. I've heard he got good hands too, so he can actually fire the puck pretty good. But I guess we'll see. Leo Carlson looks like I think he's out right now, but appears he's made the team and may even see some time with Zegras and Troy Terry. So Ryan Zanotto, nice. Who Bruce you had mentioned here, scored tonight for the Penguins or versus the Penguins. Sorry. Ryan O'Reilly, I made a note of that guy. And Tyler, I know you and I both rostered that player at different times, but he had 1 goal, 1 assist in 21 plus minutes of ice time. And that's kind of exactly what you and I expected from him playing in Nashville, right? He's going to get all the minutes.
Yeah, I was talking to a buddy of mine today that made a point about him that might be a really good fit in Nashville for him, and he could put up a really good season.
Yeah,
he's going to have all the opportunity to do it. There's nobody else in front of him.
Yep.
And just with the way that they play, that's kind of his style. So could be a good fit.
Yeah, I like him. I don't have any stats to throw out other than what he did tonight, but definitely give him a look. And then a shout out to Apples and Ginos because they mentioned Nick Paul, something about the Nick Paul waiver wire rush, which I chuckled at. But he had two goals tonight versus Nashville. So, yeah, pretty typical. That guy goes in spits and spurts. So that'll do it for tonight, guys. We're going to talk more again tomorrow on our live show on Edmonton Sports Talk, 9 p.m. Mountain Time. I think what we're going to do this year, and I was mentioning this earlier, but this show, which is going to typically air on Sundays, it didn't this week because of Thanksgiving, but when it airs on Sunday nights, we're going to cover off the schedule. We'll cover off waiver wire targets, and then we'll go through John's list and the fantasy lock. Everything else, hacks, highlights, excuse me, I think we're going to do hot or not. We'll do some discussions, some mailbag stuff, but all of that's going to move to the Wednesday night show. So if you're looking for something that's just a bit more discussional, current events type stuff, what's going on around the league, that's probably what's going to happen on Hacks Hangout. Make sense? Alrighty. All right, cool. Well, if you want to follow us, check us out on Twitter or X at FHHacks, on Instagram, Fantasy Hockey Hacks. We're on Threads. Check out the website, fantasyhockeyhacks.com. All the waiver wire targets mentioned here tonight and the schedule notes will be up there later. And then again, like I said, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Also, make sure you go follow Heavy Hockey on YouTube. What's the Threads? Jesus. Heavy Hockey. Go give those guys a subscribe on Twitter. We'll be live streaming to that YouTube channel, and they're also live Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. For Edmonton Sports Talk as well. So, guys, we'll talk to you tomorrow live on EST.
Sounds good. See you then.
See you guys.
Take care.